Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Fantastic Four series Thing figure, which is a Walgreens exclusive, and it's a very welcomed addition to just about all of our collections, I think. If you're collecting Marvel Legends, you probably are going to get this, unless you absolutely hate the Fantastic Four. I guess that would be the only reason to not get it. Because it's a pretty solid figure, and I think just about everybody's going to like it. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 18.5 centimeters, which makes it pretty close to, it's about 7.25 inches, maybe just a hair above that, so maybe like 3/16. No, 5/16 math. And that's a good size figure. It's got some nice bulk to it. It's very solid. It's I mean, if you wanted a figure to be as close as possible to like fake rock, this is a good way to do it. It's a hefty, bulky figure, and I'm quite pleased with it. Before we go into anything though, let's do a quick comparison to what prior to this was, I think, probably the better, all things considered, Thing figure. I know there were like the older ones that were kind of rounded off a little bit more. I like this one because it on its own it's a decent figure, but it also had the Fantastic Four guys that actually kind of matched it. So like a whole set of the team was decent. So this guy was like the one before that, and this one makes this one look stupid. The new one is so much better in every way. It's bigger. It's got like 100 times better sculpt, paint, everything is good. I'm still not sold on the turquoise trunks, honestly, but they all match for the most part. You'll see him up against his teammates at the end of the video. But yeah, this guy is just definitely a much needed and drastic improvement over the previous figures of the character. So very, very, very pleased about that. Let's go ahead and talk accessories. We have two interchangeable heads. We have the neutral head, and then we have one where his teeth are showing a little bit. Both are done rather nicely. Then we have two fist hands and two kind of grappling hands, if you want to call them that. I would make the argument that the fist hands should probably be a little bit bigger, especially considering that he's made out of rock. It's not that reasonable for his fist hands to be quite so tiny. He wouldn't be able to really bunch them up all that much, and they do just look a little bit small once you peg them onto the body. It gives them kind of a weird look. So it would have been nicer if the hands were about, I don't know, 10% bigger maybe, but it's not a big deal. He still looks good, and I'll probably just pose him without the fist hands anyway, which is unfortunate, but the open hands give him a much better overall presence. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, now as far as the figure goes, paint job, fairly basic. It's basically just like a dark brownish, orangish wash on top of the orange. They painted his belt, and then they painted his eyes. That's about it. It's, like I said, very, very basic, but it looks fantastic because that's all you needed. The wash on top of the orange rocks just looks really good. I do wish it was a little bit more consistent, but it's okay. It's really dark up here around the neck area and kind of on the pecs, and everywhere else it's a lot lighter, especially across like from the chest down to here, but it's not too bad. I think it's all right. It's definitely going to do, and that's probably going to vary from figure to figure anyway, so that's not something you really have to worry about, but maybe keep an eye out for it if you have a couple to pick from at the store. Mine does have black paint on the trunks because I can't get a figure that doesn't have some kind of problem. It's just my luck. And there's also gold paint on his chest. Why is there gold paint? I don't know. That's not a thing that should be there, but he's got gold smudges right along his chest here. Who knows why? All right, as far as the articulation goes, you have your standard disc or hinge and ball peg, and it's rather stiff, but it works nicely. The head fits on the body well. He can look down rather nicely, and then he doesn't look up too far, but he can look up, so that's okay. And then, of course, you can rotate it. There's a little bit of play on that ball, which is okay. I think that's good. It's good. It fits the body well. Very happy about that. The shoulders are just a swivel hinge, so that means they rotate around in the torso, and then they have the hinge here, which you do get good range. It's horizontal, so that's nice. No bicep swivel up here, but we do get a swivel down here at the elbow, which doesn't quite give us 90 degrees, so it's not the best situation, but it'll do. I'm guessing they did that because he's so bulky, but it is always not the best situation when you don't have a true bicep swivel on a figure. It's just, it hurts the posability. It helps the sculpt, so it's a trade-off. You can decide for yourself if you like it. For me, I think the bicep swivel cut, as you might call it, is worth the extra posability, but again, that's purely up to you. So that's a subjective thing. Wrist swivel and hinge, of course. Big ass hinges on this guy's hands. They are just humongous. I'm not quite sure why they went that big. I'm not sure it was necessary, but I guess because they could, so why not? It's okay. It's a slightly different orange, but it's not super noticeable, so that's fine. We do have a diaphragm joint, which works really nicely. He is wonderfully posable. So for everybody who says diaphragm joints are no good, this is a perfect example of why they can be wonderful. If you give them the right engineering, they work wonderfully. Good range forward and back, side to side, rotation, anything you really want to do, you can do. And it looks way better than an ab crunch. You don't have any harsh lines in there. And so that's really, really good. And on top of that, they didn't have to because this gives you good rotation anyway. They gave us a waist twist, which doesn't look good because he's so broad and relatively narrow front to back. You get a lot of big flat spots, but that's okay. That's to be expected, so that's fine. As far as the hips go, they go really far out to the side. What the heck? I don't understand this. I'm sure I can't be the only one. I can't be the only person who's noticed this. Figures like this can almost do the splits, and Spider-Man can't. What is going on? What is the deal? Like, look at that. There's not even gapping. Like, it's good. It looks really, really good and functional. Why on the thick figures and not the skinny ones? Going forward, though, it could be better. They go pretty far, but they have to go out to the side if you want them to go all the way. So it's not the best. Obviously, you're going to sacrifice some if you're that bulky, but it works really well for how big he is. You do get a thigh swivel at the shorts. Double jointed knee, which works nicely. It is a little bulky, of course, but that's to be expected, and that's okay. And then for the ankle, you get decent range. It doesn't go super far forward, but it's far enough, and it does go pretty much all the way back. And you have an ankle rocker, which works really well. So you can do the splits if you want to with your thing figure, almost the splits anyway, and it's going to work, mostly. So that's pretty good. I don't know what else you could want for a thing figure. This guy is well sculpted, well detailed, well articulated, and he's got some good size to him. I think that's fine. I'm very pleased with this, and I think most of you guys will be too. So go ahead and get yourself one if you can track him down. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out a whole bunch. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to do that because we talk about all kinds of things here. Video games, action figures, movies, TV shows. There's almost always something on the channel happening at any given day. Usually it's an upload in the morning, but I can't always have new product. So we do have live streams for sculpting and video games and other things like that. At least 3 days a week, so there's plenty of content here, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't, and in the meantime, keep collecting.